I met her on the worst day of my life. Not in a poetic way. Not in a movie scene where someone drops their groceries and two hands meet over a lemon. It was raining. I had just been fired. My shoelace broke. I was soaked, angry, and $186.44 away from complete financial collapse. I walked into this diner near 45th and Benson. I'd never been there before, honestly. I just needed a place to sit where no one would ask me to leave. I looked like hell. Wet hoodie, worn-out boots, backpack that smelled like desperation. She was my waitress. Red hair tied back in a messy ponytail. No makeup. No smile. Just tired eyes and a pad in her hand. She said, "What can I get you?" And I stared at her for a second too long. Maybe it was the way she looked directly at me, not through me, not past me, like people do when you look like a guy sleeping on a couch. She actually saw me. I ordered a coffee I couldn't afford and lied that I was waiting for someone. I wasn't. She brought the coffee, placed it down like it mattered, and didn't rush me. When the place emptied out around 11 p.m., she sat in the booth across from me without asking. Just sat there, poured herself a coffee and said, "You got somewhere to sleep?" I choked. Like actually choked. And she said, "Didn't think so. I got a pull-out couch. Don't get weird about it. I'm not offering sex, just a place to crash." I slept on her couch for 2 nights. Then 3. Then I fixed her broken cabinet. Then I cooked dinner. Then she stopped calling it a couch. Her name was Mara. And I fell in love with her harder than I'd ever fallen for anyone in my life. That's the thing. She didn't try to save me. She didn't make speeches or ask questions or cry about my past. She just made room. Quietly. Like she'd been saving a spot for me all along. What I didn't know. She was hiding something too. Something much, much bigger. And I was about to find out in the cruelest way possible. Mar wasn't like anyone I'd ever met. She didn't talk much about herself. She didn't post online. Didn't go out unless it was for groceries or work. She liked old movies and hated birthdays. She had a scar on her lower back she said came from falling off a bike when she was 11, but I always felt like there was more to it. And the thing is, I didn't care. We lived small. Quiet. Cheap groceries, bad Netflix signal, secondhand furniture. I got a job doing deliveries for a shady floral service that always paid cash and never asked for insurance. I told myself it was temporary. That I'd climb back up eventually. She never complained. But she watched everything. Like when I'd get tips and try to hide the extra $5 in my sock, she'd notice. Not in a nosy way. In a cataloging way. As if she was collecting information for something I didn't understand. One night I asked her, "Why the hell are you with me?" She blinked slowly and said, "You don't ask for anything I'm not ready to give." That sentence sat with me for days. Then came the night of the tip jar. We were out of milk. She gave me her diner key and told me to grab the emergency carton from the back fridge. "Don't tell the boss," she smirked. I went. And while looking for the milk in the back, I passed the server station. Her station. And there it was. A locked metal box. Her tip jar. Except it wasn't full of crumpled bills and spare change like I expected. It was packed with rolled hundreds. Tight, neat, perfect stacks. Not one or two. Tens of thousands of dollars. I remember just standing there, frozen. Like my brain couldn't wrap itself around it. Why the hell would a broke waitress keep that kind of cash in a diner drawer? I didn't ask her that night. I didn't sleep either. I started noticing things after that. Subtle. Insidious. Like how she never wore the same coat twice, even though our closet only held 3. Like how our rent was never late, but she never seemed to work double shifts. Like how one day she just gave away our microwave to the neighbor without blinking. And I started feeling stupid. Paranoid. Until it got worse. Until the man in the black suit came to our door. He showed up on a Sunday. I was home alone, barefoot, hungover, watching reruns of some 90s sitcom Mara said she hated but always laughed at. There was a knock. Not angry. Not impatient. Just deliberate. I opened the door and there he was. Suit so sharp it looked like it could cut bone. Leather gloves. Clean shaven, clean smile, clean everything. He looked like money smelled. Is Mara home? He asked. I blinked. Who's asking? He smiled like he had all the time in the world. Old friend. Just tell her Camden stopped by. Camden. The name meant nothing to me. But the way he said it, calm, smug, like he knew exactly what he was detonating, that meant something. I watched as he turned and walked down the hallway. He didn't look back. When Mara came home 2 hours later, I didn't even ask. She saw my face and stopped mid-step. She was holding Thai food. She set it down without a word. Camden? I asked. Her entire body tensed, like I'd pulled a trigger she thought I'd never find. You talked to him? She asked. He talked to me. She didn't sit down. She didn't explain. She just said, I can fix this. Just don't do anything. Please. And then she locked herself in the bathroom for an hour. I heard her crying, softly. Then silence. I sat there, Thai food going cold, watching a world I thought I understood start to dissolve. She didn't speak to me the rest of the night. But the next morning, the truth started bleeding out. Not because she told me. Because I followed her. She left at 7:08 a.m. exactly. No makeup. Hoodie. Same waitress look as always. I waited 5 minutes. Then I grabbed my jacket and followed her. She didn't go to the diner. She walked 10 blocks, took a left into a side alley, and stepped through an unmarked black door behind an old pawn shop. I waited. 5 minutes. Then I crossed the street and pretended to be on my phone. Through the cracked window I saw her. Not in a booth. Not in a kitchen. She was leading a meeting. 8 people. All in suits. Some older. Some younger. She stood at the front, pointing to a projected screen showing charts, graphs, spreadsheets. My Mar. Confident. Commanding. Not a hint of the tired waitress I'd met in the diner. I walked away before I could throw up. When she came home that night, I didn't confront her. I just sat on the edge of the bed and said, Who are you? She looked at me like I'd ripped the floor out from under her. And then she finally spoke. I wasn't supposed to fall in love with you. And that's when I knew. She'd lied about everything. And I still wanted to forgive her. She sat across from me on the edge of the bed, knees together, hands clenched, like a little girl waiting for punishment. But the woman sitting in front of me wasn't little. Wasn't fragile. She was something else entirely. And she knew the moment she opened her mouth, everything would change. My real name is Amelia, she said softly. Amelia Camden. And yes, the man who came to the door is my brother. My stomach twisted. You're one of the Camdens? She nodded once. I knew the name. Everyone did. The Camden family ran real estate like it was a religion. Hotels, resorts, private islands, corporate skyscrapers with names carved in stone. They weren't rich, they were legacy. You lied to me, I said. It wasn't a question. I didn't mean to, she whispered. At first I just wanted to disappear. I was burned out, suffocating under family expectations. The heirs. The press. The fake smiles at investor dinners. So I left. Took a fake name. Paid cash. Started over. The diner was supposed to be a hiding place. And I was, what? A pet project? A toy poor boy to feed your savior complex? No, she snapped, suddenly alive. You were the first real thing in years. You looked at me like I wasn't broken. Like I wasn't a number or a threat or an asset. But you are a number, I said coldly. You're the damn building. She didn't deny it. That diner? My family owns the block. I used it to keep an eye on things. That job wasn't for money. It was detox. I needed to feel like a person again. I couldn't speak. My throat closed up. All the nights on her couch. The gas station dinners. The secondhand everything. It was all a choice. A fucking costume. You let me feel poor next to you, I said, voice shaking. You watched me count change for rent while you had bank accounts with more zeros than my entire life. Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't care. Not then. I loved you, I said. I still love you, she whispered. And that was the worst part. Because even after all of it, I still believed her. That week I left. Packed the few things I had and moved to a friend's couch. She didn't stop me. But she wrote me one letter. One page. No begging, no excuses. Said, "You taught me how to be human again. I never wanted to hurt you. But I'd rather be hated for the truth than loved for a lie. Emilia, Mara." I folded it and kept it in my wallet. I didn't forgive her. Not then. But I never threw it away. 3 weeks. No calls. No messages. Silence. And then I saw her again. Not at my door. Not in the diner. She was standing outside the place I worked, a grimy flower shop that reeked of mold and nostalgia. She wore no makeup. Hair tied back. Same coat I'd seen her wear on the very first night. She looked real again. And broken. I stepped outside, hands in my pockets, heart thudding like a war drum. "What are you doing here?" I asked. She held out a manila envelope. "I signed everything over," she said. "My shares. My voting rights. My board seat. Gone." I stared at her like she was insane. "You what?" "My family thinks I've lost my mind," she said. "Maybe I have. But I couldn't keep living in a penthouse while you slept with a fan on full blast because the heater didn't work." "I didn't take the envelope." "I didn't ask you to do that," I said. "I know. That's why it matters." I opened it. Inside were legal documents. Her signature on all of them. "You gave up your inheritance?" She nodded. "You walked away from billions?" "Technically, $3.4 billion. But who's counting?" She tried to laugh. It cracked on the way out. "Why?" I asked, my voice quieter than I expected. She looked at me, and in that moment, there were no lies. "Because I'd rather be broke with you than rich with people who never saw me." I wanted to say something cruel. Something powerful. Something like "you're too late." But all I could do was look at her, at this woman who had lived both lives. Opulence and dust, silence and screaming. And she chose dust. She chose me. I hated how much I wanted to believe her again. That night, I didn't invite her in. But I followed her home. Not to a skyscraper, but to a shoebox apartment on 11th. A mattress on the floor. Takeout containers. One blanket. She made tea. We sat in silence. And then, for the first time, I asked her something I'd never dared before. "What would you have done if I never forgave you?" She stared at the steam rising from her mug. "I'd have waited. Even if it took years." Rich people don't wait. But she would have. And somehow, that ruined me more than all the money she ever gave up. 3 months passed. We didn't tell anyone we were back together. There were no grand announcements, no social media posts, no champagne. Just early mornings, burnt toast, and quiet routines. She got a job at a small nonprofit doing housing advocacy. I kept working at the flower shop. We still had one blanket and drank cheap coffee. But peace never lasts in stories like ours. It started with a letter. No return address. Inside, a single sentence, typed. "He's dying. You should come." No name. No signature. But we both knew. Camden. Her brother. The man who looked like silk and smiled like a shark. She didn't speak for a long time. When she finally did, she said, "I'll go. Alone." I didn't argue. I knew she had to. She was gone for 2 days. When she came back, she was pale, exhausted, and holding a new envelope. She handed it to me. "What is this?" I asked. "His will," she said. "You're in it." She nodded. Slowly. But then she looked at me with something sharp in her eyes. Not fear. Not guilt. Something worse. "He didn't just leave me money." "What then?" She swallowed hard. "He left you something." I blinked. "Me." "He knew about you. All of it. He was watching. He said, if I chose you, really chose you, then you must be someone worth watching." Inside the envelope was a deed. To a house. A small one on the outskirts of the city. Modest. Quiet. Paid in full. There was also a note in Camden's handwriting. "Don't screw it up like we did. Consider it a wedding gift, even if I won't be there." I didn't realize I was crying until the paper blurred. We moved in the next month. A tiny front porch. A creaky screen door. A garden she planted herself. No secrets. No hidden bank accounts. No tip jars full of hundreds. Just us. And sometimes, on quiet nights, she'd say, "You think they'd believe this story if we told it?" And I'd laugh. Because even I wasn't sure it was real. But then I'd look at her, wild hair, sleepy eyes, bare feet on hardwood floor, and I'd know. Some stories don't need to be believed. They just need to be lived. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this story. Your interest and support inspire us to bring you more captivating tales filled with emotions, twists, and the complexity of life, love, betrayal, and redemption. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment and share your thoughts. We value your voice and want to hear what you feel. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new story, and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Thank you for bringing this channel to life with your views and encouragement. See you in the next story.